Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. We finally chased him down. We finally got him on. Guys, dare I say the guy that changed my life? Is that what I say? Do I say that Lucas Piper changed my life? I think I have to, and we'll tell that story. See, we got him. We got the hook already, Lucas. We got to get him in. How you doing, my man?
Dude, really good, man. This is some time coming, huh?
Long time coming. The famous Lucas Piper. So, dude, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, man, I'm excited for you to tell that story too, because it's cool. I'm here in Austin, Texas. Got a chilly day today. Got the hoodie on. I've been in Austin for about 8 years, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and met Austin through kind of some networking group. Well, I met him through Instagram. That's how I met him. But been connected through networking groups and vacation rentals and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, I'll get deeper into my story in a little bit. But that's just newly engaged, happy, free, having fun, baby.
Yeah, betting on yourself. Shit's crazy. It's fun, man.
Yeah, man. It is fun.
So, because I don't want to leave y'all too intrigued, but I'll tell you the story of how me and Lucas met, and how I can say that he changed my life. So I had commented on a development that was going in, that a GoBundance member was doing, and you DM me and you said, if you know any houses in the area, I'm a buyer. And I said, fuck you, I'm a buyer first. And that's kind of, you were like, okay, I like this guy. And so we get to talking. You don't even tell me your name. And you're like, hey, I want to grab coffee. I think I got something for you. And so, we talk, and like, I didn't have a lot of money at the time. And you were talking about M1, you were talking about the mastermind, and you said, and I told this story to a million people. You said that, why do you want to join this group of masterminders? And I told you that my dreams are bigger than the people that I'm around. And you said, oh, perfect answer, sign up. And this is what it's going to cost. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of money per month, but I didn't care. And I just, put my credit card on it. And the thing that you always say is I might've opened the door for you, but then you knocked it off the fucking hinges. And, one of the things I talk about a lot, and I don't think young people get this. There's that one relationship. There's that one meeting where you're discrediting, or you're not, what happens to me every time I go somewhere I don't want to go? I meet somebody every time. I don't really want to do this tonight. And then I'm like, you know what? But maybe if, and I got 3 clients from one meetup, like boom, and what I'm not saying that story is because I was in one, I met Tom and Jeremy. And because I met Tom and Jeremy, they gave me the freedom to get sober. And here we are.
Yeah. And I think, so when I messaged you, that wasn't even for my personal, right? I mean, I didn't have a personal.
No, I didn't know who it was. It was from
I was running the GoBundance page at that time. And, we both met up blind, right? Just like, hey, seem like we have, similar wavelengths here. Let's meet up and see how we can help each other. And what will always stick out in my mind from that story is I told you the price, which had just gone up a lot. I mean, it was
$700 a month.
Yeah. And I joined at $250 a month or something like that, So I was just like, hey man, I know it's a lot. And you just looked at me and you said, I'm in. And I'm like, all right, bud. no, I'm fucking in. And like literally you're like, how do I sign up? And I'm like, chill, dude. You gotta like have a call and like you gotta talk to these people and then like they'll see if you're a good fit. You can't just like I know you want to swipe your card right now, but yeah, man, not only did you join, but then you just blew up that group, right? I mean, you're all over the Facebook page. You connected with however many people.
Well, the 3-month goal was how many people can you meet
right
in a month? And people were like, you have to have a 30-minute call with them or an hour-long conversation. It can't just be like a text message. And everybody was getting like 6, 7, 12.
Maybe.
I did 90. I did 92.
Yeah, I wasn't that good, man. I think I was getting like 4 or 5. I felt pretty darn good about that and built some really great connections. 90. You met everybody in the group with it. That's amazing though, man. And just to see what you've done since then, using all of those groups and networks around you, and man, it's just
something that at the core of your internal growth and your growth and what you've seen over the year is you've constantly got yourself in rooms that per se you really don't belong in, volunteering for GoBundance events and being around Diego and all these things. And so I would imagine that much of your growth is probably centered around those opportunities that didn't per se get you an ROI in the bank account, but mentally and mindset wise probably change your entire life.
Oh, no doubt, man. Like, I mean, I think some of these guys are just naturally built to be entrepreneurs. Like, and I just, that wasn't me, like I really, unless I had this opportunity that was presented to me, and I said yes, right? So I put myself in that spot, but like I needed to like get pulled along a little bit more. Like you just said yes and kind of launched, right? But for me, I had so many beliefs that I had to go through to even think like, do I actually want this? Like, I didn't think I wanted any of this. Like I almost had to be convinced. And then all of a sudden my eyes were open, right? But I didn't realize how deep and subconscious some of these thoughts were, that 1, I couldn't be it, or 2, I was a bad person if I was, 3, people that have money don't have, are bad people. I can't have money and be happy. I mean, just bop, 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 like thing after thing that I really had to break through before I could even, be like, oh, wow. Okay. Now I see this thing. Now I see this thing as freedom. Like this is very different from how I was perceiving what this journey actually looked like. So.
And I think entrepreneurship dresses and sounds different to everybody. And I think one of the things that we were joking about, me and my buddy last night, was like, if you just learn how to like manage social media accounts and you had like 5 clients and you work from your phone or your laptop, financially free.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like it doesn't have to look like mine. It doesn't have to look like yours and have multiple Airbnbs. And I think we're becoming a society that's really driven by skill set and kind of leverage, right? And we're starting a bookkeeping business right now, and like one of the reasons is like Austin's starting a book. Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like he hates that shit, but it's like if I need it, then everybody else needs it. And then how can I understand it from my point of view? And if I understand it, how many other investors are out there that have the same mental capacity as I do when it comes to that? And if I can create something simple for them, well, then we've really got something there.
I love it, man. Yeah, it's cool. We have we're having a big hire right now for the company, operations manager, trying to bring in really good talent and, paying for it. But it's cool to see these interviews come. I mean, I have, 290 applicants to go through. And,
what?
In 6 days. So it's
Jesus.
like, yeah. So I'm just like, just going through it all. But there's so many people like that I see now that they just have this entrepreneurial spirit because they're realizing like, one I was looking at today, they had like a headband company or something. And they're like just selling these headbands with people's names on them. And I'm looking at our company and different one, candles and this and that. And they're just starting to break away from this mindset. Like you're saying, it's like, not all of them, obviously they're applying for this. Like, who knows how much they're making? That's these will be the questions in the interviews for those that got them. But like, I think people are just thinking a little differently, right? It's just like, man, I just don't have to do this like 40 to 60 hour grind for somebody else and like have a life for nothing. Like I honestly, I just see so many people and it's like, they don't have time for a phone call. They can't go to the doctor. They can't go to the bank. Like, it's just like every minute is work all the week long. Then they come home and it's still work. And then what do they get? They get their 7-day vacation, and I know I'm just preaching to the choir here, but honestly, man, it's hard for me to sometimes. I have a lot of close friends that are still in that position. I'm just like,
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how moms do it. I really don't.
I have no idea.
How do you go to the bank? How do you shop?
I don't know.
How do you do? Everything's closed by the time you get off of work.
I honestly don't get it. Like and I talk to Nicole about it all the time of like what that journey is going to look like for us. Cause we already feel like it's like, man, we got this going on and that, and I have to get here. And she has one of those jobs. She loves her job. She's a physical therapist and gets to work with people, but she doesn't have any time for that stuff. She doesn't have 5 minutes during the day. She scarfs down her lunch in 30 minutes and she's back to her clients. So any of that stuff during the day, it's like, all right, I'll take the dog to the groomer. I'll do this. But what is that going to look like with kids? It's going to have to look different. It's going to have to be part-time or whatever to find something else for. So,
and I think one of the biggest things that I want to focus on over the next year that I think is something that nobody talks about is the bridge between the W-2 mindset to becoming the CEO of your own life. That rub between that scenario is so hard to get out of that mentality. And my friend, I was having a rough day one day, and I wasn't unhappy about some situations that didn't bend my way. And she stopped me and she said, "What would a CEO do?" And I said, "A CEO would not take any extra time to worry about this bullshit. He would just move on and find the solution. Okay, then go do that." And I think so many people live in that, 20 years for me to change the fact that I control my schedule and I do it. And it's a choice whether or not I'm as busy as I am today. That's my choice.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get out of because you start the business, but you're not, I know that's what you're going through right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I'm willing to give up, what a lot of people want, like early in their business. I'm just like, okay, like I'm going to give up a really nice salary right now, like a good cut of our revenue. And I'm probably going to give up some equity because I want the right person, and I want my time. And, the last few months, it's been that struggle. It's been that, we were just in Costa Rica and it's like, all right, for 8 days. And it was just like that connection to the phone. And the one day I'm like, I'm not looking at my phone all day. I don't care. I get back to my phone at 6 and I have 18 missed calls. A guest missed a check. I'm just like, oh man, and so I feel that. And there's some really good things happening, and the VA really stepped up through that time, and a lot is going away, but like I for me, it's worth it for growth for my company, but more importantly for my freedom and the time to get that role in my company at this point in time. Whereas I think a lot of people really, really wait for that, for that moment that's never going to be right. It's never fun seeing that big chunk leave, but yeah, man, it's that important to me. So
I think the number one thing, and I'm about to, like I told the guys already, like I'm going to hire a VA for the management company about 10 properties too early because I don't care, because I've already played the game.
Yeah.
I built it wrong.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen again. And I'd rather take a huge pay cut, but have the team bought in from the beginning. And then we scale together, because what we're finding in the hotel company, because now we have 3 VAs, is the first VA is training the other VAs.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point. Like, dude, my VA just left his job. He was managing 30 people. He had a team of 30, right? This guy wants to manage, right? He's like, when are we bringing on the next one? I'm like, settle down, Gene. Like, I'd love to have another VA, but like, y'all aren't free. You're inexpensive, but you're, but like, seriously, why not? And again, it's like from that CEO mentality that you're talking about is like, when you can really sit back and take the time to say, what else could I have them do? What else could I have them do to create a great company? There's something there, man. There's either something that we're doing that they can do, or there's something that's not being done for the company that should be, right, that they can start working on.
And think of it this way. perfect. I love that you brought that up. Our VAs came from Capital One, from Hilton, like big companies. Why do they want to work with us? Because they know the 7 people they work with, and they get to grow, and we care about them. And like understanding that, that culture and what they view stuff is like, me and Matt said it in the interviews, like, we asked them like, what would be personal growth to you? And of course their answer is if the company grows. And I'm like, no, you didn't listen to what we said. We said, what would be personal growth to you? And we really drilled home the fact that it's not about just what the company does. It's about growing up together. And we know that we're only as strong as our customer service team. But here's the deal. I'm running a 26-room hotel with 2 cleaners and 2 VAs and just me. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like it can be done when your systems are right. And guess what? Those systems break and shit gets fucked, but you fix it, you tweak, and you move on.
That's awesome, man. That's crazy. I haven't even talked to you about the hotel much. So we got to do that offline. Yeah,
we'll do that for sure. So talk about, I mean, you waited to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
Till you had some cachet. I'm just messing around, but you waited to come on. But you waited to come on.
Actually, talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Yeah, you've had some crazy growth in the last year.
Yeah, and I think, dude, like we're in this time right now where there's a lot of influencers. There's a lot of people talking about shit, and I don't really want to be that guy unless I know what I'm talking about, dude. And so, when you had asked me to come on, I was still at my W-2. I had a few properties. My systems were trash. So like, I mean, it was cool. Like I had some things going for me, like comparatively, right? Like in my friend group or just in general, right? If you look at the general person, I had a great W-2 income coming in, and then I had pretty good side income coming in. So that was cool. And I could have talked about that. But like I knew what was out there and I knew there was more. And so I didn't really want to sit on a podcast and talk about how to build side hustle and income, and leave your W-2. Well, I'm still in my W-2 that I've been saying for 3 years I'm going to leave. That didn't seem, authentic to me. So I wanted to wait for that. So yeah, man, it's important for me. I like to, I like to feel authentic is one of the 3 words that I try to live by the most. And so it felt very inauthentic for me to come on and talk about something that I didn't feel like I was there yet. So
when you had your W-2, how many properties were you managing?
I mean, I got up to 5 or 6 pre-COVID. And then when COVID hit, I dropped down to 2. And then I think by the time I left my W-2, I had like 5 or 6 again, but I knew I had like 4 or 5 in the pipeline.
And where are you at now?
17.
Okay. That's a lot of growth in a short amount of time. And what would you attribute that growth to?
Man, a lot of it was just, it's just been like the networking that's paid off, So, when you start really like being that guy in your space, when I go places, it's what I talk about because I'm excited about it. It's like in the GoBundance circle that, it's what I share. So when you start becoming, as this, like kind of that Airbnb guy, I mean, all of it's been referrals from just the network,
No, and so, I want to highlight something because you brought it up in our mastermind. So you didn't even have a name or a website or a logo to like a couple months ago, correct?
Yeah, no, I was like basically I left my W-2 before I even had like, I had a different LLC I was running stuff under, but it wasn't even like, like my management company's like now LLC, right? Like I was just.
And so many people talk to me about what they're going to do on property 10. And I'm like, how about you worry about getting that first one? And we'll talk about it from there.
Yeah, 100%, man.
I just like, dude, on Thursday, I have 300 episodes, right? In a year and a half. And I just now upgraded my entire setup. I got new lights and a new camera. It's like, dude, just fucking push record, buy the property, take the action, because through the action, you'll learn. Dude, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. A million people ask me, what books do I read? What podcasts do I listen to? And I'm like, dude, I don't know if it's just my answer, but the Airbnb space, you just have to do it, man. It's not one of those things you can read in a book.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me now, I feel like I would have said that like 2 years ago. It depends like the opportunity they have and what house they have. If they already have the house and like they're just like, I'm just going to Airbnb my house.
Oh, of course.
Do it. Just like list it and just start, and whatever. I think there's some good resources out there, but I do think you jump in. But now I do feel like it's getting a little bit more competitive in the marketplace. You do kind of have to do some special things to the house, furnish it a certain way. So we're not seeing like, you just can't list shit. Like I listed my house, 3 years ago when I bought it. And I mean, it was just like, if it was the same house as when I listed it in, like it wouldn't get booked right now. It just didn't have like the furnishings needed or like the high quality stuff. Right. Or just know like what catches in the photos, things like that. So, I mean, I guess I would have probably there would have been bookings, but you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I go back and forth with that. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to jump, right? And the crazy thing about Airbnb and short-term rentals is that unless you are working with an absolute expert in the field who can like find these properties and know what they're going to make, like in Austin, for instance, like I can look at a neighborhood or see a neighborhood and look at listings when I'm doing comps, and one person will be doing $8,000 on a house and the person next to them will be doing 4,500. Right. So like, it's always crazy when it's like, oh, I need to like run numbers on this stuff and blah, blah,
There's
blah.
a lot of people looking for absolutes in this space. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to sell you.
That's the part I would say, right? The absolutes are really, really hard. And like, I do feel like I'm getting to a point where I can like walk in these places and be like, all right, like now I at least can give you a range of like a few thousand, but like but it's crazy. Like when Cody and Chris, it's Cody Sanchez and them like approached me for their house, they're like, well, what do you think we can make off this? And I'm looked at all the comps and I'm like, man, and I always go conservative for people, but I was like, I think I can do 12 a month. And they're like, okay, the person that just quoted us said we can do 8. And I was like, yeah, I think they're off. Like, I think, and then I like looked at it again. I'm like, we might be able to do 15. I don't want to say that, but like it's 12. I would say like 12, I'm confident saying, so let's leave it there. But like, I think we'll be able to hit 15. We're doing 25 there a month, bro. Ooh. Right. So like that's, I mean, I didn't know it would be that much of a hit, like even I feel like I'm an expert in the area and really know it and really dug in, and it's in the 95th percentile,
But that makes you look really good.
I'd much rather have it that way than the other, right? So
yeah. And I think life's about position. So that being said, like, and this is, I get accosted twice a day about this bullshit. Like, what does it need to be? What does it need to rent? What do I need to net? Like, I waver back and forth on this because I think some aspects of it are practice and some aspects that are making money. Guys, you know what, man? I have been in this short-term rental game for so long. I think I'm paying the light bills over at Airbnb and HomeAway and those companies. The fees are getting ridiculous. And the only way to do that is to stop building your real estate on somebody else's platform. And my man, Mark Simpson, Book Direct Playbook, the book is coming out. And this is a no-brainer. We got the hotels. The hotels do 50% direct booking on our website because of the tips and tricks that he's taught us with marketing and so on and so on. I've got a preview of this book. It is a game changer. Make sure you check it out, dude. You won't regret keeping more of your money for yourself or making money. When you're looking at a property, and let's say we'll just use the buy part, what do you need to see from a property for you to pull the trigger and feel confident about buying it?
So, I go through, that's a loaded question, right? Because if we're just talking all over the place. So, I basically look at the why of the house. So okay. It is the why. And so not every house is going to have the same why. Like when you're like 2 miles away from Austin downtown, that's a big enough why to pretty much grab anything in the city. Like it's crazy. Like you don't even need that much more why. It's just like, it's within 2 miles of downtown. Boom. done. That's not always true, in every city, but Austin is that way. So I mean, I'm looking, for me, I really like 3 bedrooms plus, because I feel like it's different than the hotel space. And again, this is a personal opinion. I know people that can kill it on 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, but I think that space is what Airbnb is meant for. It's meant for big groups pooling their money together, or a big family pooling their money together and saying, we want to be together in this place. Because when you look at the fees now that are happening on Airbnb, when you look at the cleaning fees and all of that stuff, like, it's getting harder and harder to make it as a 1 or 2 bedroom, because now you're competing with JW Marriott, downtown in Austin for $350. So when you're talking about a 1 or 2 bedroom, it's like, in your cleaning fee is $95, like, and that's just rate. That's just going to the cleaner, right? So then where are your rates at? It's like, to make any money, it's so anyways, it's a long-winded story for me to say, I look at the why, and I do think that is one of the harder things to figure out for properties. But once you get good at that and just say, man, I think there's enough concerts at this place where we can fill this up every weekend. Like, that's all it is. Or, the football games during the season are going to get us this much. So the rest of the year will just be okay. So figure out the why of the house. I like 3 bedrooms plus. And then it's really looking at a house and saying, is this going to photograph well? What are these photographs going to look like? And, typically that's more of the open concepts, a lot of that has to do with furnishings, but like some of that doesn't. So, and that's just kind of like an eye, man, that is a little bit harder. And that's taken me, a couple of years to be able to just walk in a place and just say, I like the place, but it's just not going to shoot well. The pictures of it's pretty much the marketing that you have to have people book yours instead of the other 7,000 Airbnbs in the area. So.
No, and I think it's super important, because like, even me, and we travel a bunch, like, if it's just me and my girl, like, we're staying in hotels. Like, I'm sorry,
100%. You ain't gonna find me in one, bro.
Dude, the fees are getting out of control. And then, not to mention, this is something that nobody talks about. You're buying an Airbnb. What are the scalable factors in that area?
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest with you, we won't run a Airbnb in Tahoe, and everybody's like, why wouldn't you do it? You can't fucking get a cleaner. So like, you might have a great property, but you're going to have to pay your cleaner fucking $200 just to show up, because they're driving 45 minutes.
Yep.
This is the stuff that nobody talks about.
Yeah, man.
Like, do you have the systems? Do you have the maintenance guy? Do you actually have a cleaner that's affordable at scale? Like, I'm staying in a hotel. I'm going hotels.com. And like, everybody's like, I can't believe that. And I'm like, but look, so we're going to San Clemente tomorrow for my birthday.
Yeah.
It's me and another couple. We're staying in a condo Airbnb. That's worth it. That's 2 different people, 2 different spaces. We're doing some podcasting. I'll pay the fees. But dude, it's just getting to a point. And I really think that the hotels are starting to see this. And I think they're undercutting these Airbnbs, and that's why it's working that way. And Airbnb is going to have to figure it out, because it's not cool.
Yeah, man, they're figuring it out. But I mean, all they've done is put it higher, right? I think when I listed mine a few years ago, I mean, I think they were at like 4% fees. I mean, they just went up to 15, dude. Like,
yeah, it's not going to work. Like, at the end of the day, we ran the data off the hotel, right, when we bought it. And, booking.com, Expedia, all these things, they're taking 12, 13, 14%. Like, Airbnb, 14, like, it's crazy town. And, if you don't figure out ways to retarget, Boostly.com, if you don't figure out ways to retarget or get second stay bookings where they come back again, like, you're going to be in a rough spot. Because if you think Airbnb gives a shit about you, you're sadly mistaken. And I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. The CEO is a fucking asshole, and I don't really care. And at the end of the day, it's just the thing. Don't build your real estate on other people's platforms. Like, it's like, my example is this: when social media went down for that day, I thought it was fucking awesome. Like, I thought it was great. But then, like, how many people's businesses went to zero? So my question to you is, if you got all your eggs in the Airbnb basket, this is a volatile world, and you better figure it out real quick. So what do you do? How do you solely rely on Airbnb, or do you go off multiple platforms?
Yeah, great question, man. I mean, that's really the focus right now. Is it was just like build, and so now that's why I'm bringing in a systems person, operations person that can build out that side of things. So not only from the side of just being on multiple booking platforms, but for sure direct bookings. And now that I have so many properties, it's cool because it's like you get, especially like a company to book, and it's like, hey, we're in San Antonio as well, or we're in Austin as well, or do you have more employees that come or less employees that come? So being able to pick up some of those direct bookings from that. But what I really want that system, as soon as we get that part done, like what I really want them to work on is how do we bring in extra income from those things, right? So I want us to have our own cleaning company, right? Like there's no reason the cleaning company shouldn't be ours and I'm paying that. So,
100%.
Like, cleaning company, maintenance company, concierge service, like that's, will be within a month, 30 days of that person starting. We'll start some sort of concierge. I mean, I have a girl,
dude, I'm telling you,
group, she's crushing. She has like 5 properties and she makes like, I mean, it's just crazy what people buy for these like bachelorette parties, these big ones, it's just like she goes to the grocery store. She spends like, I don't know, $900 for them and somehow walks away with like $250 or $300 just from going to the grocery store for them and like charges and stuff. And because they leave like $150, $200 of liquor behind each time, so it's like, but yeah, man. So like building all of those businesses are going to be really important to us. I mean, I got to see what, I had properties through COVID. I got to see what that looked like. And that's scary, man. Like this isn't just my side hustle anymore, right? This is the thing, that's going to feed my family. So knowing that, like I am a lot more keen on building these other income streams, within that. So,
well, not to mention that some of my best properties that I've ever managed came from my cleaners.
Yeah.
Referrals. So like my whole goal, my only focus for business moving forward the rest of my life is one simple theme: Trojan horse. What's the boringest business that nobody wants to be in that gives me the in to all the other things?
Yeah.
Like meaning the bookkeeping. Okay. That I'm working with investors, owning the cleaning company. So my cleaner brought us a house in Austin. We didn't pull the trigger because COVID happened, but it was going to net us $2,500 a month.
Right.
Like she brought us that, like, and it's like you're like, so if you're the maintenance company, well, then you're going to be going in, if you're doing it just for us, then you're going to be doing it for other people. And then that guy's going to go, hey, well, what do you do? Well, we also manage properties. Boom, done. Like,
right, man.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the focus just because of that. And the other thing is, how many people are being deplatformed by Airbnb. So we're working on different strategies for that of, every 10 properties we get now, we're opening up a new account, so we can have super hosts on multiple accounts. So one day Airbnb, a guest says, oh, they had a camera inside, which we would never do. But if a guest says that, I mean, they will literally snap their fingers and take your entire listing off. That's scary, man. And I see it every day in these national Airbnb groups. People are like, what do I do? How do I? And then they have this secret little freaking society in Airbnb that like you can't call them at all. You can only get in touch with them via email. So you just literally have your hands held. They won't get back to you. A lot of times they will never tell people the reason why they got delisted. I'm talking about people with fucking 20, 30, 50, 100 properties, man, making Airbnb tons of money. And they will just delist them, cancel hundreds of $1,000s of bookings and not tell them why. It's scary. So
that's crazy. So in order to combat that, you're doing, when you get to 10 properties, you're creating a new one.
That's right.
Yeah. And so you're deleveraging the power they have. Is super smart. At the end of the day, it's one of those things like, I try to tell everybody, like, don't be upset with the roller coaster that the roller coaster behaves like a roller coaster. Like, I mean, it's like being mad at the color yellow. It's yellow. Guess what? You're getting ridiculous high returns. Shit is fucking bananas.
Yeah.
Like, and we're getting into the weed business in Oklahoma. Shit is bananas. And we know that. And it's going to be fucking wild as fuck. But guess what? there's no organization whatsoever in Oklahoma. It's a bunch of backwoods people selling marijuana, and they don't have any idea what's going on. So we're going to try to systematize it and use our relationships, right? It's the same thing in Airbnb. You're very happy when you make 10 times over your fucking mortgage, but yet you bitch and moan that the shit's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
you know
right,
why I'm invested in Bitcoin? For no reason else. Bitcoin is how to teach me emotional stability. That's the only reason I'm invested. Because I've never seen anything in my life as crazy as this. So I realize it's just to teach me how to be emotionally detached from everything.
Oh, man, yeah, I was feeling that shit last week, dude. With the stock market at the same time. Usually, it's like the opposite, right? Like the stock market is doing well, and Bitcoin's going down, or Bitcoin's going. So I have like one or the other doing well. And last week it was just like, oh my god, that's a lot of money, but I'm good. Okay.
It's all good because that is that I've been using it all day today. I've been using it all day. Let me pull it up again. Do you actually know the real definition for patience?
Patience.
Nobody's, by the way. 0 for 10. The capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset.
Wow. That's interesting. And it even has those like negative terms. It's not just patience. Okay. Wow.
And so Ben Newman on Brad Lee's podcast said that he's aggressively patient.
Wow.
Meaning that he's aggressively in love with the process, but patience in the results.
Mm.
And so at the end of the day, if this is what you decided to do, which was bet on yourself, then you know this shit's crazy. And at the end of the day, the people that you're going to hire, all you're asking them to do is to be in the trenches with you.
Yeah.
And nobody has to act perfect. Nobody has to have it all figured out, but we have to fight. And we have to be a solution-based oriented personality. And, you know, I'm curious kind of if you just had to like cast a vision for your year next year, like, are you trying to go? Because I've sat in many rooms with a lot of people that said they wanted 200, 150 co-hosts. And now I talk to them and they're like, I'm good with my 15. I'm good with my 10. Like where are you at on this scale and kind of where you see it going?
Yeah. So what I really want so I've mentioned a few of those things that we're really going to focus on. So we're going to continue to build, but while we do that, we're going to focus on more luxury properties. So, you know, I made a rule, at least these last few months, just because it was basically me and my VA and I should say. And I said, unless we're doing 10,000 a month, I won't look at the property. Mm-hmm. And so I broke that a couple of times for some friends that were close, and you know, and I like that general rule because then I'm telling other people too, so like they don't send me a property that's going to do, you know, 3,000
mm-hmm.
a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of our going to. I don't think I'm going to hold it to that high of a standard once I get this systems to operations person in, but we will not be taking in properties that are doing like 3 or 4 a month, you know? Mm-hmm. So we're going to get luxury properties in there. We're going to do properties that are going really well. Firstly, because I think I see so many people just scrambling to like take on these shit properties. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like if it's making you $1,000 or $10,000 a month, it's going to be about the same amount of work. Right. So we want those luxury properties that are going to make us those big amounts of money. We're going to focus on other ways that we can bring in money. So those concierge services, starting those other companies, you know, within ourselves, that'll kind of be that secondary focus. So that's what the year will look like. How many properties? I love the vision stuff, man. I love goal setting. But honestly, I don't know. And I've said this on every podcast so far, everyone I talk to, like, I don't know at what point I'm going to say, this is just crazy. You know, like, I think we're getting to the point where now I'd have to bring in another, you know, $75,000 or $100,000 hire, or what, you know, what that's going to look like. So I'm really excited to bring in someone and see what things look like when our systems are amazing and see that growth. But like, man, it's a fucking brutal industry. You know, I was just talking to my parents about it yesterday. It's like you get used to it for sure, but like I mean, I have 4 code issues right now with different houses with crazy ass neighbors, dude. I have one in South Austin. This guy literally, he wears these short shorts. His balls almost hang out of it in his front yard every day. And yet he has the audacity to call the cops on us every day. He's showing his balls to the whole neighborhood. But he looks me in the eye and he says, I am your foe. And I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to call the police every single day. So like, you're dealing with that.
This is a great point. We actually decided to shut down operations in San Diego.
Yeah.
Because we were having too much issues with the neighbors. He was filming guests.
Yes.
It wasn't worth the money.
That's the story I thought about because I was talking to the owner and he's like, dude, I think we can still do it. And I just want to share this story for you because I know what happened with you guys there. And I'm like, a neighbor that's really, really crazy can ruin your Airbnb. Mm-hmm. Like, don't be fooled, because when they show up and they're like videotaping them or doing something crazy, like, I would say at least half of guests are going to be super uncomfortable and they're not going to want to stay there. Or if they do, they're going to give you a bad review. So like that guy can ruin it for you. So anyways, all this to say, man, it is an up and down industry. The numbers are incredible right now, but I see a lot of people buying Airbnbs. I see a lot of big companies getting in the mix. So I don't know what that's going to look like in the future. All I can do right now is build the best company I can, bring in the best properties that I can. I would really love to get some other properties. I have 2 possibilities of kind of some places where you can do like weddings, smaller parties, corporate events. Yeah. So those
That's what we're looking at right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're talking like 200, 300K a year for those. So, I mean, if we can get a few of those going, man, like that would be amazing.
Well, I think quality over quantity. And I think what's super important is I got a buddy who just bought a $1.2 million cabin and 3-4 story cabin in fucking Smokies. The first hour he got 16 grand worth of bookings. And like at the end of the day, like that quality of guest, the less turnover, like we're looking at 35 acres right now and it's got multiple cabins on it. We're going to do tree houses and all sorts of shit. And it's like, I'd much rather do that and scale that crazy operation than go have like 6 fucking houses. It's not going to do anything for me.
Yeah, man. It's interesting. There's a guy in GoBundance that's pretty high up in the STR industry. And his theory is that Airbnb should not be in cities. And he posted this in GoBundance and like people just like went after him. They were just like, dude, I got so many successful ones in cities, blah, blah, blah. And I took offense to it too. Is like, a lot of mine are within cities. And, I really thought about it after, and I still disagree with them. I still think you can be successful in a city, but I get why he's saying that now, right? Like just the issues that come in the city from permitting to neighbors to, if city.
I'm not going to do anything that's going to affect my lifestyle. And that's the move I'm making. And you operate in Austin and I'm happy for you, but I have been asked north of 150 fucking times to do one in Austin. And I've said no every time.
Yeah.
And I say no without even taking the phone call because I refuse to play the game that everybody else is playing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do stuff. You know why the Smokies are the number 1 fucking area for Airbnb? Because the entire fucking area embraces the shit out of it and the systems are set up to support it. That's it. Simple. No more enough. Same as Florida. Florida knows the game. Everybody's playing the game and everybody's in the game. And it's so much easier to do business that way. And so my question to you is, I got a guy in Missouri. He's building 15 houses. They're all Airbnbs in their own community. And he got a contract with the select baseball tournament and they rented the place out 6 months worth of weekends, all the houses. And he's like, dude, I'm good. Like everybody wants it. The families are staying. Like that to me sounds so much more pleasurable than fighting with the fucking neighbor with his balls out of his shorts and fucking
100%, man. Yeah. No, I don't recommend the ball fights at all. But no, I mean, it's something I think about, it's just the sustainability in the long term and where we're going to have to pivot and what that's going to look like. And so it's still an early company. And again, like, that's why, just like I started this show and talked about why I didn't want to come on here before, like I'm never going to say, I'm 100% an expert in a certain industry, or like, dude, things change. We don't know where it's going, And so tomorrow, the city of Austin could go against the Supreme Court like they're already doing and just be like, we're just going to shut down all these Airbnbs. I don't know, man. So I need to think about that as a company and figure out what that looks like. But I can guarantee that's not going to happen in the Smokies, right? Or like the city literally depends on that, like these beach houses, right?
And I don't want to get anybody's panties hurt here and get all upset. But Tahoe cracks me up too, where 90% of the income that comes into the area is tourists, but yet they bitch 24/7 about it. I'm like, dude, you live in a vacation place. Get over yourself. Like,
there's like 7 of you that still live there that from the original.
I never understood that. There's 280 hotels. It's a fucking vacation place. Move on with your life. Like, I never understood that. It's the same thing I was singing when I lived in Austin. They're bitching and moaning about Austin. There's 7 different ways to live in Austin. Go live that. Like, take your money. You made $400,000. You didn't know you were going to do it, and go. It's whatever. Like, And so at the end of the day, you have to be adaptable, and you have to be able to pivot. And I think that too many people are stuck on their ideals. They're stuck in their absolutes, and they're over leveraged on their overhead, and understanding that everybody needs to have. What's interesting, and I'd be curious, and we'll get you out of here with this. Anybody that's come to work for me, they've never asked what they're getting paid. I don't even think it's come up to like the 4th meeting.
Wow.
Because they're not, I'm not saying that works for everybody, but they're more inclined about the vision and what we're creating than they are about the pay.
Yeah.
And so I think it's super important to be able, as an entrepreneur and a CEO of your company, is to sell that vision and kind of and lay out the picture of how you see it. And then also stick to what you said to them too. Super important.
I love that, man. Yeah. And it says a lot about what you guys are doing too, to bring that in. Cause I think that a lot of the younger generation, it's the opposite. It's the first thing they ask for. What are you going to do for me? Right. They go and work for someone now. And it's like, we see what's happening in these tech companies. I mean, they literally come on, they're like, well, we got the nap center, we got this and that. And I'm not saying that stuff is bad, right? I mean, it's great. Like, treat your employees well, but a lot of millennials and younger take that and they don't give what they should be returning to, and it turns into this just and there's plenty of reports and studies on this, but it's just like, it's all about me. Like, what are you going to give me? What are you going to, never mind. It doesn't matter that you gave me that much. I'm going to hop to this other company that's going to give me 20K more, so good for people like worrying about themselves and doing their thing. But I think when you're hiring and recruiting and trying to get someone that really wants the company, I love that. You're in the 4th interview and they're like, wait, so like, what am I getting paid here? We haven't talked about that.
That's great, it, man. So if people want to find out about your company, how would they do that?
Yeah, just shoot me an email, man. It's just rentals at, all written out, 5-star vacation home rentals. Happy to chat with anybody, be a resource if I can. So that's the best way to contact me.
Well, I didn't give you a Christmas gift yet, so I'll give it to you now. Dad's coming home. He's going to be in Central Texas for 2 weeks from January 15th on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you staying, baby?
I don't know. I haven't got that far yet. All I know is we're going to look at some land. I got some meetings to do. That's all I know. I'm going to go see my grandmother and come home. It's not 120 degrees there, so I can come home and we're good. So guys, if you like this episode, send it out to your friends, share it with somebody who'll get some value from it, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.